The paramedic writes down the time, 6:42 a.m. He doesn't look at your face when he writes it. He's written this number 1,000 times in 1,000 bedrooms. To him, it's a Tuesday. To the system, it's a data point. Somewhere, in a building you've never visited, a database updates. A field changes from active to deceased. No alarm sounds, no screen flashes. And your money, whatever's left of it, stops being yours before your family even gets the phone call. You spent your whole life being told money was yours. You earned it. You saved it. You lost sleep over it. Here's what nobody told you. You were only ever holding it. The second your heart stops, the system takes inventory. And what happens next depends entirely on one thing. Not how good you were. Not how hard you worked. Just the number that was next to your name at 6:42 a.m. Level 1. You die with negative $1,200. Your account is overdrawn when your heart stops. The bank doesn't pause out of respect. The overdraft fee that processed at 6 a.m., 42 minutes before you died, stays. The system doesn't know you're dead. The system doesn't need to know. It just executes. That's what systems do. They executed while you were alive. They execute now. Your sister finds out you're gone at 9:15 a.m. A phone call at her desk. She drives to your place with your spare key shaking in her hand. What she finds is a room, a cracked phone on a mattress, a car in the lot worth less than its loan, a life that fit inside 4 walls and still had payments due. The debt finds her 3 weeks later, an envelope addressed to the estate of. She reads those words standing in her kitchen and almost laughs. Estate. There is no estate. There's a storage unit's worth of belongings and a number with a minus sign in front of it. The funeral costs $9,000. Nobody tells you this while you're alive, that dying is expensive, and being broke doesn't make it cheaper. The casket has a price tag. The plot has a price tag. The 2 hours in the room with the flowers has a price tag. Your sister puts all of it on a credit card at 24% interest. You couldn't afford to live. Now she can't afford your death. She'll be paying for your funeral for 4 years. Longer than some people knew you. Then the calls start. Debt collectors. Legally, she owes them nothing. Your debt was yours. It should die with you. They call anyway. They call at dinner. They call on Sunday. They use words like moral obligation and settling the account, because grief doesn't read contracts and they know it. They've built an entire industry on the 3 weeks after a funeral, when people will pay anything to make the phone stop ringing. At this level, death isn't an ending. It's a final fee, and someone you love pays it. Level 2. You die with $3,000. Enough for the cremation. Barely. You did that much right. You thought about it once, on a night you couldn't sleep, and you kept that account above the line for exactly this reason. Here's what you didn't know. The moment the bank receives your death certificate, your account freezes. All of it. Instantly. Your mother stands at the counter with the paper in her hand. The paper that cost her $25 per certified copy, because even proof of death is a product. And the teller says the words she'll remember for the rest of her life. The account is locked pending probate. The $3,000 exists. She can see it on the screen. The teller can see it on the screen. It's right there, glowing, real. She cannot touch it. The money you saved for your own funeral cannot pay for your own funeral. And here's the part that feels like a joke written by someone cruel. The automatic payments keep going. Your rent comes out. Your subscriptions come out. The system that froze the account for your mother didn't freeze it for the machines. Automatic payments don't mourn. They just process. Probate takes 7 months. 7 months of court dates and certified letters and forms with your name spelled wrong. For an account that would cover 1 funeral. The court filing fee is $435. Read that again. The system charges your family money to give them your money. There's a word for that, but they don't print it on the receipt. Your mother pays for the cremation out of her retirement savings. 7 months later, the state releases your $3,000. She deposits it and cries in the bank parking lot, and she couldn't tell you if it was grief or exhaustion. At this level, they're the same thing. Level 3. You die with $80,000. Now the machine wakes up. $80,000 is enough to be interesting, not enough to be protected. It's the worst amount of money to die with, big enough to fight over, small enough that the fight eats it. A probate attorney appears. Nobody hired him exactly. He's just there, the way flies are just there. His fee is 3%. The state takes its cut. The court takes its cut. Every hand your money passes through keeps a little warmth from it. Then the real lesson, the one they should teach in schools and never do. Your 401k, the biggest thing you owned, doesn't follow your will. It follows a beneficiary form. A single sheet of paper you filled out on your first day of work 11 years ago, back when you were engaged to someone else. You wrote her name. You forgot. For 11 years, that form sat in a filing cabinet, patient as a landmine. The law doesn't care what you meant. The law cares what you signed. Your wife, your actual wife, the one who held your hand at the end, watches $40,000 walk out the door to a woman you haven't spoken to in a decade. There's nothing anyone can do. The form beats the will. The form always beats the will. Your wife doesn't cry at the lawyer's office. She waits until the car. And the thing she cries about isn't the money. It's that the system just told her, in writing, that a version of you from 11 years ago outranks her. Nobody told you to update the form. Telling you now costs nothing. That's the system's favorite kind of truth, the kind that arrives too late to matter. Level 4. You die with $500,000. The bank calls your family first, before the flowers arrive. Condolences, then a meeting. There's a wealth advisor in the room now. Understand what just happened. The same institution that froze a grieving mother's $3,000 assigns a specialist to make sure your $500,000 doesn't leave the building. They're not comforting your family, they're defending an account. But the machinery is smoother here, and smooth machinery is what money actually buys. The life insurance pays out in 9 days. 9 days, tax-free, no probate, no court. The house transfers through a beneficiary deed you signed years ago because at this level, someone told you to. That's the difference. At level 2, nobody tells you anything. At level 4, telling you things is someone's job. At this level, death has paperwork instead of panic. Your family grieves in a living room, not a courtroom. That's not a small thing. That might be the only thing. But money solves the problems money can measure, and then it feeds the other kind. Your kids don't fight over dollars. The dollars are handled. They fight over what you would have wanted. Who gets the house they grew up in? Whether to sell it. What you meant. That thing you said, that one Christmas. Money settled the small question and left the big one open like a wound. 2 years from now, your kids will speak twice a year. The estate closed clean. The family didn't. Level 5. You die with $10 million. You don't really die. Not financially. Not in any way the system can detect. You planned this 15 years ago, in a conference room with a lawyer who bills $900 an hour and was worth every dollar. The trust owns the house. The trust owns the accounts. The trust owned everything before your heart stopped, which means when it stopped, nothing happened. Nothing freezes, nothing enters probate, nothing appears in any public record. Your mother at the counter moment never occurs, because there is no counter, and nobody has to ask permission. Your death is invisible to the system, because you left the system while you were still alive. That's the secret at the top. The rich don't beat the machine. They exit it, quietly, years before it matters, through a door that was always there and never labeled. The estate tax that should take 40% takes almost nothing. The loopholes are not accidents. They were written, carefully, by people who die like you, not like level 1. Somewhere in the tax code, your death was pre-solved by people you never met, as a professional courtesy between strangers of the same altitude. Your money doesn't stop, it just changes drivers. The trust pays your grandchildren on a schedule you wrote, money arriving from a man they never met, enforced by a bank that will outlive all of them. The poor man's debt died on his sister's credit card, at 24% interest, over 4 years. Your wealth doesn't die at all. It doesn't even slow down at the corner. Somewhere right now, a paramedic writes down a time. 6:42 a.m., 2 bedrooms, 2 cities, 2 men the same age. A database updates twice. One entry triggers a collections protocol. The other triggers nothing. The trust noticed nothing, because for the trust, nothing happened. 2 people stopped breathing this morning. One of them ended. The other one just continued. They will get the same paperwork, the same certificate, the same seal, the same font. It's the only document in America that treats them equally, and it only arrives once they're gone. The system doesn't bury you, the system files you, and the folder was labeled long before you were.